calling for their guns.
Millstone Nuclear Power Station, located in Waterford, Connecticut on the Long Island Sound, generates electricity for 50% of the state of Connecticut and a quarter of New England. On August 12, 2012, the power station was forced to shut down its Unit 2 for 11 days after cooling water at the intake structures exceeded the 75-degree Fahrenheit limit set by the Nuclear Regulatory Commission. It is the first and only time it has happened, and since this single unit generates roughly a quarter of the state's electricity, it threw the state's grid and generating capacity into a frenzy as the plant employees scrambled to make up for the lost electrical generation. Due to emissions, it is projected that ocean water temperatures will increase in the future. What does this mean for Millstone Power Station? Our own Ross Hochberg investigates.
In the thermal power plant world, generation is dependent upon two separate but equally important factors: the source of thermal energy and the condensation loop which provides the pressure gradient. These are their stories. "2012 was a record-breaking year in the lower 48 states. It was the hottest recorded year since reporting began. The New England states comprising the Connecticut River Basin all were among the 19 states that broke individual records for hottest year, as were New York and most of the mid-Atlantic states. Although discharge for the Connecticut River was typical for August, temperatures were above average due to the high heat seen over much of the river's catchment basin. It is worth noting that the time series for temperature data in the Connecticut River is not extensive at this time. However, mean August temperatures in 2012 were higher than in any of the 4 years previously measured, and samples of both top and bottom waters both exceeded the 75-degree Fahrenheit threshold set by the Nuclear Regulatory Commission. The Thames River, which enters the Sound just east of Millstone in New London, experienced reduced discharge as a result of low precipitation in its drainage basin, which spans the eastern portion of the state. The reduced discharge of the Thames, coupled with high temperatures in eastern Connecticut, saw the river's water grow incredibly warm, reaching a staggering maximum temperature of 77.9 degrees Fahrenheit on August 13th, the day after the initial shutdown.
Thanks, Ross. But how do the turbines in the power plant even work? Here to tell us more is Joe Amat.
The turbines at the Millstone Power Plant operate under the same principle as all steam-powered turbines. Hot steam coming from a high-temperature, high-pressure area passes over the turbine blades at high speeds to a low-temperature, low-pressure environment. As the steam passes over the turbine blades, it causes them to spin and generate electricity. The cold water from the Long Island Sound flows through the condenser, which provides the system with that low-temperature, low-pressure destination of the steam. The low-pressure system is created when the steam comes in contact with the cold condenser coils, causing it to condense back into water. The difference between the high-pressure area and the low-pressure area is called the pressure gradient. The higher the pressure gradient, the faster the steam will move and more electricity will be generated. It is important that the cooling water from the Sound is cooled enough to condense the incoming steam to create a high enough pressure gradient for the plant to run efficiently. In this demonstration, consider the beaker with the blue water to be the high pressure system and the blue water to be the hot steam waiting to pass over the turbine blades. The black rubber stopper can be considered the turbine, and the inverted flask on the ring stand is the condenser providing the low pressure system. The flask is first heated to turn the fluid in the flask into steam. The flask is now inverted into the beaker of water to complete our system. The air in the room passing over the inverted flask acts like the cooling water from the Sound in the condenser. This causes the gases to cool and condense, creating a vacuum. This pressure gradient causes the fluid to go up from the beaker and into the flask.
As previously mentioned, Millstone Power Plant is specifically regulated to stop taking in water from the Sound that is over 75 degrees Fahrenheit. Unfortunately, climate projections have shown that mean annual temperatures are only going to increase in the future. Additionally, the Northeast will experience dry spells between infrequent heavy precipitation events. It is during these dry periods that rivers will be at their most shallow, and therefore most vulnerable to temperature fluctuations. Warm rivers flowing into the Sound will mean that the temperature of the Sound will increase, and the power plant may have to shut down again. It seems that officials at the plant have already been made aware of this. On April 21st, 9 days before the completion of this very video, the Nuclear Regulatory Commission okayed a proposal to raise the allowed intake temperature to 80 degrees to avoid another shutdown. Millstone spokesman Ken Halt even acknowledged that over the last 40 years, the temperatures of Long Island Sound have been steadily increasing. Similar actions, or even changes to the structure of power plants, may be necessary to adapt to a warming world.